Drink beer, it's good for you. I'm empty-handed and I'm feeling blue, and I'm gonna drink till the day that I die.
Hello, and welcome to part 2 of my experimentation with using the Grainfather's Grainbasket as a hop spider. In this video I'm changing things up a bit to try a full 25 litre batch brew and have totally removed the pipework. I will fill the plate hole with stainless steel mesh to see how this also affects things. So here is the mesh that I bought as part of a small sheet. I've cut it to size with scissors and also cut in 2 inlets so that it can be attached to the plate more securely. This was a very cheap thing to buy, and I purchased mine as stated in part 1 of this video series on eBay. As you can see, it's pretty easy to attach. I just wonder if it will be secure enough. Hey, let's try it out. Before using this, I soaked it in PPW and then water. So I've done a brew and it's now after the sparge stage, and I've deliberately not told the Connect that I've finished the sparge. This way I will have plenty of time to wash the grain basket, knowing that the temperature will not go past 97 degrees C. So I'm now removing the pipework totally. After removing the grain from the basket, I am now giving it a good clean, ensuring that no grain is left behind. Once this is all clean, I then added the bottom plate first, and then the top plate with a mesh screen on top of that. I then told the Connect that I had completed the sparge and it will now head to a full boil. Seeing as we have a full batch brew going on here, the Grainfather is pretty full, but the basket goes in without any issues at all. So that's one concern off of my list. I started off by stirring in the foam as usual and then added my first hop addition, stirring them in afterwards as per normal. Not so long after this, I noticed that boiling hot wort is climbing up the sides of the grain basket. Note the wort shooting through the handle holes here. At points in the early boil, this was also giving mini boilovers. This was controllable by stirring, thankfully. I then added the recirculation arm minus the silicone hose. In theory this would improve hop utilization, but it also aided in controlling the obviously increased boil rate. This was certainly not an issue with the smaller brew last time, and I noticed that as the brew lost volume through boiling, the effect dampened things down. It became clear that this worked better with a smaller batch, at least for my EU unit. I understand from feedback from US unit users that this is not an issue they experience. I tried to counter this boil over effect hop loss the best I could by collecting the boiled over hop matter and stirring it back into the boil. It was certainly not huge amounts of loss, and it only had the effect on my early additions, not my later hop additions, thankfully. After the boil I did a very thorough whirlpool using a drill and the Grainfather whirlpool stroke aeration paddle. I then let everything stand for 15 minutes before chilling and adding the wort to my fermenter. No transfer issues were experienced, of course. After transfer was complete, I took a look at what was left behind. As you can see, the whirlpool took away the stainless steel mesh, meaning that some of the hop matter did escape to the bottom of the system. This I suspect could have been avoided by attaching the stainless steel mesh more securely and also having a stainless steel mesh piece at the bottom plate also. Here's a shot of the bottom plate. You can see that hop matter is certainly on it. It's a shame that we couldn't have a look at it before the whirlpool. And here's a look at the bottom of the Grainfather. Certainly not as clean and nice looking as it was on the smaller batch that I did using this method. So here are my full thoughts on this to finalise this video. It would seem that using your grain basket as a hop spider is better done with the US version of the system. Reports have been made to suggest that it benefits from the extra metal within the boil, which increases its power. Whereas on the 220 volt systems at higher volumes this becomes too much, meaning that in the early boil you encounter issues that lead to hop loss and boilovers between the grain basket. Even at lower volumes it was not exactly perfect, and I feel that at this stage this will be the last experiment that I do with this. From my perspective, had this worked, the benefit would have been simply an easier cleanup. Pretty much the only reason I have ever used a hop spider on the Grainfather anyway. I do enjoy an experiment though, of course, and this has been a fun one. I do hope you found it interesting, useful and enjoyable. So if you did like this video, then please do like it on YouTube. This really helps me out and allows the videos to be seen by a wider audience on YouTube. I have always got a lot of new videos planned for the future, so if you are interested in seeing my new content, then please subscribe for future content. If you have any questions on anything that I have covered in this video or any other video, then please do not hesitate to get in touch with me via YouTube or Facebook. I'm a member of pretty much every Grainfather Facebook group and more. Happy brewing!